Welcome to English Way. 3 months. That's all it took for me to go from shy, broken English to full conversations with native speakers. But it didn't start easy. In fact, the first time I tried to speak English, everyone around me laughed. I felt small. I wanted to hide. I remember standing in a classroom trying to say one simple sentence, but the words didn't come out right. My tongue felt heavy. People looked at me. Some smiled politely. Others laughed. That moment hurt me, but it also changed me. I told myself I will learn this language, I will become fluent no matter what. The next day I started with one simple goal: speak English every single day, even if it was only for 5 minutes. I didn't have a teacher and I didn't live in an English-speaking country, but I had my phone, a notebook, and a big dream. I made a rule for myself. No more translating in my head. I had to think in English. So I began with the things around me. I looked at my cup and said, "This is a cup. The cup is full of water. I like drinking water." I did this with everything. The table, the window, my shoes. I talked to myself all the time. In the beginning, it felt strange. I made many mistakes, but I didn't stop. I learned to enjoy the process. Every mistake was a step forward. I changed the way I saw mistakes. Instead of feeling embarrassed, I started to feel excited. A mistake meant I was trying. A mistake meant I was growing. This mindset made a big difference. Most people stop learning because they are afraid. Afraid of looking silly, afraid of saying it wrong. But I learned something important. If you want to speak English fast, you must stop being afraid. Another trick that helped me was using my phone's voice recorder. I would speak out loud and record myself. Then I listened to it. At first, I hated it. I thought, is that really my voice? I sounded slow, unsure, and my pronunciation was not good. But after a few days, I noticed small improvements. My sentences were getting better. I sounded more confident. Listening to myself helped me hear my own mistakes. It helped me fix them. Slowly, my speaking became smoother. I also started watching videos like the one you're watching right now, but I didn't just watch passively. I used subtitles. First, in my native language, then in English, and finally, no subtitles at all. I paused the video and repeated what I heard. I copied the rhythm, the pronunciation, the stress. This is called shadowing. I felt like an actor repeating lines from a movie. It was fun, and it helped me speak more naturally. Another big secret? I made English part of my life. Every day, I changed my phone and computer to English. I followed English-speaking YouTubers. I wrote my shopping list in English. I even started dreaming in English. My brain began to accept English as normal. Not as a foreign language, but as something that belonged to me. That's when real change started to happen. I also made a habit of writing every morning. Just 10 minutes. I wrote about my day, my thoughts, my goals, but only in English. I didn't care about grammar or spelling, I just wrote. This helped me express myself. Later I read what I wrote and tried to improve it. I also searched for new words, but I didn't just memorize them, I used them. Right away, I made sentences with new words. I used them in my writing and in my speaking practice. And here's something that surprised me. I didn't study grammar like in school. I learned grammar by using the language. When I heard "I am going" again and again, I started to understand how present continuous works. When I saw "I went" in a story, I learned about past tense. Of course, I checked rules sometimes, but only when I needed them. Grammar came naturally when I focused on listening and speaking. The biggest change came when I found a speaking partner online. We talked for 20 minutes every day. In the beginning, it was hard. I didn't know what to say. I was nervous. But I prepared topics. I wrote questions before the call. I learned to listen. And the more I practiced, the better I became. My partner also gave me feedback. He told me when I made a mistake, but he was kind. That support made all the difference. The more I used English, the more I loved it. It wasn't just a subject. It became a part of my identity. I started to think in English without trying. I stopped translating. I began to speak freely. Fluency didn't mean perfection. It meant confidence. It meant freedom. After 3 months, I had a full conversation with a tourist in my city. We talked for 15 minutes, and guess what? I understood him, and he understood me. That day, I smiled. I didn't feel small anymore. I felt proud. Looking back, the secret wasn't talent. It wasn't luck. It was daily practice, small steps, and not giving up. I believe anyone can learn English fast, but you need the right habits, the right mindset, and most importantly, you need to believe that it's possible. Because it is. I did it. And you can too. Let me tell you more about what really worked for me and what didn't. When I first started, I tried to learn 50 new words every day. I thought that if I knew more vocabulary, I would speak better. But after 1 week, I forgot almost everything. I realized I wasn't using those words. I was just memorizing them like a robot. That didn't help, so I changed my method. I started learning 5 words a day. Only 5, but I used each word in a sentence. I wrote with it, I spoke with it, I tried to hear it in videos. That's when things started to stick in my mind. Less was more if I used it with purpose. Another big thing I learned was the power of listening. I listened to English every single day. I listened when I was brushing my teeth. I listened while I was cooking. I listened while walking outside. I didn't understand everything at first, but I kept going. I noticed that my ears started to catch words I already knew. Slowly, I began to understand more and more. English was no longer noise. It became familiar. It became music. And the more I listened, the more my brain adapted to the sounds, the rhythm, and the structure of the language. One time, I remember watching a short story video on YouTube. The speaker was slow, clear, and natural, just like I'm speaking to you now. I played the video 5 times. The first time I just listened. The second time I read the subtitles. The third time I repeated the sentences out loud. The fourth time I closed my eyes and tried to understand without looking. And the fifth time I shadowed the speaker, word by word. That one video taught me more than a grammar book, because I was learning like a child by doing, not just by studying. You see, children don't learn grammar first. They listen. Then they copy. Then they speak. Then they read and write. I tried to follow that order, and it worked. I told myself, I don't need to know all the rules. I just need to use the language. I need to live with the language. I let go of the idea of perfection. I made English part of my daily life, not just part of my study time. That was a powerful change. I also started keeping a mistake diary. Every time I said something wrong, I wrote it down. Then I wrote the correct sentence next to it. I didn't feel bad about my mistakes anymore. I saw them as a gift. Every mistake was a lesson. And when I reviewed my diary once a week, I noticed progress. Fewer mistakes, better sentences, more confidence. It was like watching myself grow step by step. One of the best tips I can give you is this: ask questions even to yourself. I used to walk around my room and ask things like, what did I eat today? What do I want to do tomorrow? What do I like about this movie? Then I answered myself in English. It felt silly at first, but it worked. It made me think in English. And the more I asked and answered, the more fluent I became. I didn't need a partner all the time. I just needed to practice thinking out loud. Now let's talk about reading. At first, I tried reading big books, but it was too hard. I didn't understand much and I got frustrated. Then I found something better, children's books. They were simple, short, and full of useful sentences. I started with easy stories, then moved to comic books, then short stories. Every time I read, I looked for words I knew. If I didn't know a word, I guessed the meaning from the story. Only sometimes I used a dictionary. Reading helped me see how words work together. It helped me learn grammar without studying it directly. And writing, I treated it like talking. I didn't worry about mistakes, I just wrote my thoughts. Then I used tools like grammar checkers to correct myself. I didn't let mistakes stop me. I saw them as my teachers. And writing gave me something powerful. It gave me time to think in English. It slowed me down so I could notice patterns, improve my structure, and learn new ways to express myself. Some people ask, is it really possible to become fluent in 3 months? I say yes, but it depends on what you mean by fluent. I couldn't give a TED talk after 3 months, but I could have real conversations. I could ask for help, tell stories, explain ideas. I didn't speak perfectly, but I spoke naturally, I spoke with confidence. And that's what fluency means to me, not knowing every word, but being able to share my thoughts and understand others. I remember one moment that made me emotional. I was at a small event in my city where tourists came to learn about our culture. One man from Canada asked me a question. I answered in English. We started talking. 10 minutes passed, then 20. At the end, he said, "Your English is really good." I almost cried, not because he said I was good, but because I knew how far I had come. I remembered that first day when people laughed at me, and now I was making friends in English. My final tip is simple but powerful. Believe in yourself. English is not just for smart people, it's not just for young people, it's not just for people who live in America or the UK. It's for everyone. It's for you. You can learn it, you can speak it. You can become fluent. And you can do it faster than you think if you're willing to practice every day and enjoy the process. Now that you know how I became fluent in just 3 months, I want to give you a step-by-step routine that you can follow too. This routine worked for me, and I believe it can help you as well. Remember, you don't need to study all day. You just need to practice a little every day with full focus. It's not about time, it's about consistency and smart habits. Here's what my daily routine looked like during those 3 months. I started my mornings with 5 minutes of writing. I wrote about anything, my dreams, my plans, what I wanted to do that day. I didn't stop to check grammar, I just wrote. Then I read what I wrote out loud. That gave me both writing and speaking practice at the same time. It helped me feel more comfortable expressing myself. Next, I listened to English for 15-20 minutes, sometimes a podcast, sometimes a YouTube video, and sometimes a story. But I didn't just listen once, I listened 3 times. The first time I just listened and tried to understand the general idea. The second time I used subtitles and repeated some phrases. The third time I tried to shadow, speak at the same time as the speaker. This built my listening and pronunciation skills fast. Later in the day, I practiced speaking. If I had a language partner, we spoke for 15-20 minutes. If not, I talked to myself. I used questions like, "What did I do today?" or "What do I want for lunch?" or "How am I feeling?" I answered out loud in full sentences. This helped me learn how to think in English. The more I spoke, the easier it became. Even without a partner, I still got speaking practice every single day. I also reviewed 5 new words every day, just 5. I didn't use flashcards. Instead, I made real sentences with the words. For example, if I learned the word decide, I said things like, "I decide to go outside." "She decided to call me," and "They are deciding what to eat." I used different tenses. I spoke them out loud. That way the words became part of my memory, not just information in my brain. In the evening, I read a short story. If I didn't have time, I read just one paragraph. I underlined any new word I didn't know, guessed the meaning, and checked only the important ones. Reading helped me understand grammar in context. It showed me how native speakers really use English, and after reading, I would sometimes write a short summary of what I read. Again, writing and reading together made a powerful learning combo. One of my favorite tricks was something I called mirror time. I stood in front of the mirror and spoke in English. I pretended I was in an interview or giving a speech. I asked myself questions like, "Can you tell me about yourself?" Or, "Why do you want to learn English?" Then I answered while looking into my own eyes. At first, I felt silly, but after a week, I started to enjoy it. Mirror time gave me confidence. It made me more comfortable speaking in front of others. Sometimes I watched the same video many times, but I didn't just watch, I copied. I paid attention to how the speaker moved their mouth. I copied their tone, their pauses, their energy. I was not just learning words, I was learning how to sound natural. That's the secret many learners miss. Fluency is not only about grammar or vocabulary, it's about rhythm, feeling, and connection. And here's something very important. I gave myself breaks. Learning a language is like training your muscles. If you work too hard with no rest, you feel tired and give up. So one day a week, I took a break. I didn't write, I didn't read, I didn't practice. I just watched a movie in English with subtitles and relaxed. That break helped me feel fresh the next day. It made learning feel like fun, not like school. At the end of every week, I reflected on my progress. I asked myself, what did I learn this week? What was difficult? What can I do better next week? This reflection helped me stay motivated. It reminded me how far I had come, and it made my learning more focused. If I had trouble with past tense, I practiced that more. If I felt shy speaking, I practiced mirror time more. I adjusted my routine to fit my needs. Now it's your turn. If I could do it, you can too. Start small. Make a daily routine. Practice listening, speaking, reading and writing, even for just 20 minutes a day. Use the language, don't just study it. Talk to yourself, read easy stories, listen to slow English and enjoy the process. Make English your friend, and don't worry about mistakes. Remember, every time you make a mistake, you are one step closer to fluency. So are you ready to surprise everyone like I did? Are you ready to speak English with confidence? Then start today. Even if you feel nervous, even if you feel stuck, just begin. Use what you learned in this video. Speak to yourself. Find a story. Try mirror time. Write your thoughts. Every small action will bring you closer to fluency. You don't need to wait. You are ready. Your English journey starts now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check the video description for some questions to test your understanding. Share your answers in the comments below.